What is going on, everyone? Welcome in here to the Bettor Sports Betting Show. Got Howard Bender with me. I am Dan Servodidio on a Wednesday afternoon. We got Week 18 to break down and discuss on today's show. Give out some early leans, look at some odds for Saturday and Sunday's games. What's going on, Howard? How you doing, man?
I'm doing okay, Servo. It was a interesting week 17 in the NFL. So, I said before I wasn't like a huge fan of the slate. I think I finished slightly below 500. It was not a profitable week for me last week, but listen, you dusted off. We're in the black for this season, so we're very happy about that. And not up huge money here, but up enough that it churns out a nice little tasty profit for us on the NFL season. But yeah, so I want to kind of make it back a little bit here. Week 18, obviously there's so much going on as far as what teams have an incentive to play their starters, what teams have nothing to play for, who wants to lose, who cares. It's like all of that. I've got all of that stuff over at fantasyalarm.com, like in the watch list, and we're going to talk about it on the show on Sirius XM. Just who's got the incentive, who's playoff seeding matters. Your Eagles in a battle here, right? You guys, the Eagles get the Giants, the Cowboys get the Commanders, right? Supposed to be two kind of punching bag opponents, but for the same token, they're divisional games, and we all know that teams in the division always tend to play each other a lot tougher. Yes, I know that there have been some blowouts, but I think it just changes the dynamic when you're talking about betting these games and where you are on the spread. It's all division stuff.
Yeah, we'll get to, those will be two games we break down, the Cowboys and the Eagles games, because, and they both play at the same time. The NFL does that. They both kick off at the same time. And the Eagles' only chance that they can win the division is if the Cowboys lose. So, at halftime, if they're scoreboard watching and the Cowboys are up by 2 touchdowns, then who knows? The Eagles start resting starters. It's all up in the air. Well, by the way, Happy New Year to Paul in the chat there, chiming in. Appreciate you watching and tuning in here. And if you have any of your own bets or thoughts about this weekend's games in the NFL, definitely hit us up in the chat here. Like and subscribe as well if you're watching on Fantasy Alarm, Bettor Sports Network, YouTube. But yeah, here's some of the games we'll talk about because, I picked out some of these games that are still are playoff relevance and teams that are still have stuff to play for, because we do have a lot of those games where it's involving, teams that are either eliminated or have locked up a playoff seed already. So it's kind of iffy, but some of these games we do have teams involved. This first one here on Saturday, the first game on Saturday, is interesting because we got the Ravens are already locked into the number 1 seed in the AFC, probably resting a lot of their starters. We'll probably see Tyler Huntley at quarterback for the Ravens. The Steelers, on the other hand, still alive. They need to win. They also need help from other teams to lose. But since this is the first game on Saturday, they can't really think about anything else that is going on in other games. They're going to go out there and obviously try to win here. But Baltimore could play spoiler, division rival, who probably want to knock out their AFC North rivals out of the playoffs. So interesting game. Steelers favored here on the road in Baltimore. 3.5 is the spread. 36.5 is the over/under. One of those situations where you could really make an argument for either side here because of all the motivation, who we're going to see play. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I would have to lean the Steelers minus the 3.5. I would probably buy off that half point and just make it a Steelers minus 3. Because I mean, while Harbaugh said, we'll see about Lamar Jackson. Harbaugh's the kind of guy who just wants his team prepared and everything. So maybe he push him out there for a series, nothing crazy. You also have to wonder, there are certain, contract incentives that are ready to kick in here.
Yeah.
One of which is, I think, Odell Beckham Jr. needs 6 catches for to trigger a $250,000 incentive in his contract. So there is stuff like that. But I think overall, the Ravens really, they don't care about this game. They want to keep everybody healthy. But I do think that Harbaugh just likes to have his team prepared and whatever, especially because they're going to get a bye week anyway. So let him do all the prep work, start the game, then boom, whatever. Get rid of them after like the first series, maybe the first 2 series, whatever it is. But, do that and just, kind of walk away from this game. So, you can give it to the Steelers. You don't always want to see a divisional opponent in the playoffs with you, but it's these teams don't really match up very well.
Yeah, honestly, I'm leaning to the Ravens side here because Tyler Huntley is a formidable, slot in backup to fill in here. And when you're talking about Lamar Jackson, if he gets hurt in that first series that he's in, like there is going to be an insane backlash, to Harbaugh and the Ravens. So I understand what you were saying there, but I have a hard time seeing him play at all. Honestly, and a lot of the, some of their, just veteran guys and key guys on defense. Like we'll see who ends up playing.
I mean, he should sit everybody. He definitely should. I find it, why would you take the Ravens then? I mean, what getting a field goal, getting the 3.5 here because whatever about Huntley. You start taking out all your guys on defense, and then you've got, the Steelers' first stringers going up against third string defense. And I'll tell you what, man, I want Pickens, Deontay Johnson. The Steelers can keep their playoff hopes alive with a win here. Like all the incentive in the world to do it. None for the Ravens. That's why, but like with the point spreads and everything like that. Like, that's why I want to buy off that extra 0.5 point because it could still be close.
Yeah, I guess what I was thinking is that I like getting the 3.5
Right.
for the Ravens because I do think they could still play, even the backups in. I still feel like they're going to want to play spoiler here against the Steelers. And I just, I look at Huntley and it's not obviously it's a huge drop off from Lamar, but it's also not like a huge drop off to other backup quarterbacks that we've seen around the league. So he's got a similar skill set to run that Ravens offense. The other side, I just think it's a little bit of the spread's kind of like an overreaction to just what the incentives are for both teams. It's still, I know they've won 2 games here in a row for Pittsburgh, but it's still Mason Rudolph under center for Pittsburgh. And I don't have a ton of confidence in them being, a road favorite, no matter what the situation is, I guess. By the way, you're talking about incentives for players here and stats and catches and yards, all that. Definitely keep an eye on that. And I know I'll be diving into it for Friday's show when we give out our props for that show because we got some instances where, like an Odell Beckham could get 6 catches and, if his receiving receptions prop is at 5.5, you're probably betting the over on that. But I also wanted to ask you about just crossing my mind about some of those situations where if they fall 1 or 2 catches short or a few yards short of the incentive, sometimes the teams will just go ahead and pay them out. It depends on the player, I guess, and their standing with the team. But a lot of times you'll see, even if they do fall short, the team still will kind of give them that bonus or incentive, which is interesting for props because you think, like, all right, this guy has to get, 7 catches, but maybe he gets 5 and he still gets the bonus. So
when I have never seen a team be like, oh, well, close enough, we're still going to give you the money. I've never seen that. Where have you seen that?
Hasn't that happened in past years with I can't think of a specific player right now, but
yeah, I don't know if I've ever heard, kind of like close enough. Oh, 999 yards. Oh, ooh, I think if I'm the owner, I'm like, oh, yeah. Listen, you go to Vegas with this and you say over under, close enough. No. That sets a bad precedent, Servo.
I feel like that's happened before, though. I can't think of anything right now, but I just feel like I've heard that before. That there's a player that's finished, you know what, like Travis Kelce finishes 2 catches short of whatever his incentive is, but he still gets the bonus because he's, you know, the franchise's best player, one of the best players ever in the franchise. So
we appreciate you so much. That 898 is, darn it, that's close enough. Here's a participation trophy too. Thanks for having us here. I don't know about
maybe
that,
I'm off
man.
on it. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. Yeah, I'll tell you what, we will reconvene on that on Friday. I do know that Andrew Cooper is going to be dropping an article probably before this show airs, where you and I are together again on Friday.
Yeah.
With a list of like all of the incentives, you know, and it's everything. It's, you know, it's not just monetary incentives and contracts. It's also statistical milestones that some guys are trying to hit. Like Calvin Ridley is 90 yards away from his first 1,000-yard season since 2020. Right? Like that's, you know, stuff like that. That's kind of stuff is important to the players, especially like a guy like Ridley, who's coming off of that lengthy suspension and everything that happened with that. So, you know, we'll have that over at fantasyalarm.com. That'll probably, you know, that'll definitely help with some of the props. Like you said, it'll definitely help with some of the props.
I will be reading that article very heavily. I already know that. All right, this next game here, also another Saturday one. This is Saturday night. The Texans and Colts, and the Texans are 1-point favorites here on the road. 47.5 is the over/under. This is basically, you know, winner gets an AFC wildcard spot and could possibly win the AFC South if on Sunday the Jaguars end up losing. So both these teams, obviously, plenty to play for, and we should see full, you know, starters for both teams here. Any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm going to bet this one with my heart, not with my head. I'm going to say Houston minus the point. I love the Texans right now. Because you know what it is, man? I love the culture that they're just completely turning around there, because I mean, that was a toxic environment. And now what you've got, you know, D'Amico Ryans, who, you know, I love. I mean, he's been a fantastic coach, really good, solid defensive mind. He's left the offense up to Bobby Slowick, and they've excelled, right? Like CJ Stroud looks great. Like if I'm the Panthers, I'm like, oh damn, probably should have taken Stroud number 1. He looks fantastic. Nico Collins has emerged as a bona fide number 1 wide receiver. You've got some good support. Like, I wish Tank Dell was back, but you've got some great supporting cast there. You know, and it's just everything that they've got going on there in Houston. I'm just a big fan of, talent wise and, you know, just culture wise. You know, the Colts, they've done a great job. Shane Steichen, I will, you know, applaud him for losing Anthony Richardson, not having a suspended, you know, Jonathan Taylor for a while, and then Taylor banged up with the thumb. I mean, like everything that's kind of, it's been a very strong season of resilience for the Colts. I just want to see the better team advance in the playoffs, and I think the better team is Houston.
Yeah, listen, I'm with you on that. I go Houston here too. You know, their money line's at minus 120 if you want to look at that, if you just don't want to mess with the spread being -1. But I do think Houston is, you know, I was really impressed with them last week with Stroud coming back and just taking care of business. And I feel like they are just the better team overall. I know this is on the road, you know, for the Colts against the Colts, but
controlled environment.
Yeah, still a dome for them that they're used to playing in. Yeah, and Stroud has been, he's come back and still looking like a really good, you know, rookie of the year candidate here. I was impressed with the offense, just with the fact that they've lost Tank Dell, a couple other injuries in the wide receiver core. But yeah, Stroud and Collins is a bona fide connection. They are really.
Singletary's been a revelation too. Like, yeah. I mean, think about that, and then think about what's happened with this defense right now. Like, all of a sudden, guess what? You can't run on Houston. You could before. You can't really do it right now. You know, you have more success throwing against them than running against them. Look at Derrick Henry. You just got, you know, slapped around, you know, in these last couple of weeks. So I look at, you know, think it's very, very cool what's going on there in Houston. And, again, I'll applaud Indianapolis, but, buck stops here.
Yeah, the Texans defense that's gotten torn up by Derrick Henry over all of his career, and then these past 2 games this year, they've basically shut him down.
Right. I mean, the prop call, on
I gave it out a couple
that first
weeks
game,
ago.
you're like strutting like that Vince McMahon, gif that everybody looks at. He's like with your props, and then all of a sudden it was like,
I think he had like 17 carries for like 10 yards or something.
Something like that. It might have even been single-digit yardage. Might have been.
So, definitely something to note there. All right, next game here. We got the Falcons and the Saints on Sunday now. The Saints are 3-point favorites at home here. 42 is the total. This is basically, this game is de facto NFC South title game if the Bucs lose. So the Buccaneers are playing the Panthers, and if they do lose to the Panthers, you get the winner of this game winning the division in the NFC South. But obviously, they won't know what happens with the Bucs until after their own game. So
would that not be the most Arthur Smith thing to happen
just backs
to the
into
NFL? Is that the Falcons win the division, and all of a sudden it's like a 1% chance of it. But like, if the Falcons were to win that division, like, how do you fire Arthur Smith now? Hey, you won the division. I mean, you still have to. But
I think
he's like, get me a decent quarterback here finally, right?
And then they played either the Cowboys or the Eagles in round 1. So
80 jillion to nothing.
So both teams obviously coming in motivated to win this with a lot on the line. I would lean the under in this one. I know both defenses aren't the greatest, but I think just with the playoff atmosphere kind of for it, I do think both defenses are going to kind of set the tone for this, especially just with both offenses in this one have just seen some very inconsistent and ineptitude on both sides. So I would lean the under on this 42 being the total.
Yeah, I don't mind leaning on the under in this one. I don't have any kind of a lean in this. I mean, I probably would, I don't know what the Saints money line is, but I might just look at the Saints money line and check it for that. But I mean, there's like what I hate about this game, right? I mean, here, because it makes sense, right? The Saints run defense has been softened up a little bit over the last few weeks. And you've got this amazing ground game 1-2 punch with Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier. So it would make sense to hammer with the run, right? So now Arthur Smith will probably have Heineke chucking the ball downfield all day long and not using the run. Like, that's like, I don't know what to expect out of Atlanta on that front. You know what to expect really with with New Orleans. We've seen what they are. Kamara is not as big and as explosive as he was, before. But what we also haven't seen is we haven't seen them get stupid in the red zone over the last couple of weeks. If you've noticed, Taysom Hill, outside of that one catch that he made, that touchdown catch, was it last week or the week before? He caught a touchdown pass as like a legitimate tight end running a route. But they haven't gotten cute inside the red zone like they did before. You're seeing less of this like Taysom Hill rushing attempt kind of a thing. So, you see that they're in that realm. Kamara will still catch a bunch of passes, but they're focused on Derek Carr hitting, Olave, Shaheed, Jawan Johnson. They're getting all these guys involved in the passing attack for there. So that's what they're giving you. How that matches up against the Atlanta defense, it's a tough call there. They have a good secondary with guys like Terrell and Okudah. So I kind of lean, Saints money line, but I don't love betting this game. Well, they're minus 175 on the money line. No, so it doesn't even pay. Probably a no bet.
Yeah, money line's kind of rich there. I was impressed with the Saints last week on the road at Tampa. Basically it was like 20-0 after 3 quarters. and just kind of took their foot off the gas to, there was like a 23-13 final. But yeah, the Saints offense was clicking last week early, and I just have so much more confidence in the Saints right now than the Falcons to win this game.
Right, which is just, again, it's the most upside down thing about the 2023 season right now.
You see the Falcons win, right?
Falcons are going to win the division. They're going to go, and they're going to, they're going to make that Super Bowl run.
All right, on Sunday as well. All right, let's get to the two NFC East games, and we can kind of talk about them in tandem because they're both tied together. Dallas at Washington. Cowboys are 13-point favorites on the road here. 45.5 is the over-under. And then the Eagles-Giants. The Eagles are 5.5-point favorites. 41 is the total there. So the scenario is Cowboys win, and they win the NFC East. If they lose, then the Eagles can win the NFC East. If they beat the Giants, if both teams lose, the Cowboys win the NFC East. So that's basically the situation, and it's going to be, I think, interesting for the spread on both these situations, because I could see a scenario here where we get the Cowboys going up, say they're up by 2 touchdowns at halftime in this game. Eagles are maybe up by a touchdown. Whether or not, that probably doesn't matter what their score is, but if they see the Cowboys up, I could see them resting Hurts, resting some of these starters on both sides of the ball, just kind of conceding a little bit, which puts the Giants at plus 5.5 very live in this one. I think it also, creates a situation where maybe the Cowboys start resting some of their guys, and it makes the Commanders at plus 13 very live in that one. So I would lean both underdogs in these games, just because of what we could see in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, the Commanders easily just give me the 13 points and, whatever. I'll take my, even if it's a backdoor cover at the end, it doesn't even need to be a great game. But I definitely want to take the Commanders on the, with the points. It's funny. I lean right now towards the Giants and getting the points, but I also feel like, I think a lot of people are looking at, well, it's a divisional game. I want the Giants and the points. I do feel to a certain extent the Eagles need to make a little bit of a statement. I think they need to make a little bit of a statement. If this spread were bigger, like if this spread were more than a touchdown, I would say that I would lean taking the points and beating the Giants. But the fact that it's under the touchdown here, I feel like the Eagles need to, be commanding with theirs. Like, what if the Eagles are the ones who go up, early, and then Dallas looks and sees and, they take their foot off the gas? I mean, whatever. I think both teams will end up being able to beat their opponent. But spread-wise, I feel like there's a better chance of seeing the Eagles cover that 5.5 than Dallas on the road covering 13.
Yeah, I agree with that. Because the Eagles, I mean, you could make the argument that they're going to play to win either way, because that they if the off chance the Cowboys do stumble here, they can win the division. So I just as an Eagles fan, I've seen this defense just completely collapse multiple weeks in a row.
Horribly.
I just after watching what they did with the Cardinals. Tyrod Taylor-led Giants, I feel like could be a little feisty in this spot. By the way, in this game, I noticed that there is some weather. There's, I think, chance of snow in this game. And I think winds, like 10 to 15 miles per hour. So that's something to note for this game in New Jersey. So, but what you just laid out, though, I could see that for the Eagles, covering this. I do think if it was, like you said, if it was like 7.5 being the spread, I would definitely lean Giants there. But I think we're aligned on the Commanders, just giving us the points with the Commanders there playing right,
which Cowboys is of course why the right bet is going to be Dallas minus 13. Because
don't say that. No,
because that's the way it goes.
All right, last one here. We got the AFC East championship game, basically. Bills, Dolphins. And Buffalo is 3-point favorites on the road here. 50 is the total. This is the Sunday Night Football game. You know what? Give me the under. One more primetime under just to finish the regular season. This has been cashing on a weekly basis, whether it's Thursday, Sunday, Monday nights. These primetime unders have just been cashing left and right. But just with the fact that this is, basically the divisional championship game, I just think both defenses are going to come in here prepped and ready to go. The Dolphins offense has not looked the same over these past couple of weeks. Obviously, the Tyreek Hill injury had a little bit to do with that. And by the way, with Tyreek Hill, did you see the fire that happened at his house today?
I did see that there was a fire at his house. He was at practice, I heard, and
apparently everyone's safe and all that, but that's just an interesting little tidbit there. Maybe a little distraction, obviously, for that situation. But I would lean under here. What about you?
Well, the funny thing about it is that there's a lot going on with this game right now for a multitude of reasons. Number one, the Bills' win total this season was 10.5. And our friend Britt Flynn took the under in a video and got destroyed by people. Like the horrible, like women in this industry get, crapped on a bunch. And it was just like every stupid comment that kept coming in was just, and so I'm kind of, as much as I love you, Bills Mafia, I'm kind of looking for Buffalo to maybe not win this game so that Britt is right about hers. Now, the funny thing is that if the Steelers beat the Ravens and the Colts-Texans game does not end in a tie, then if Buffalo loses, they're out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
So they could be on Sunday night playing for their life. It's not just for the division. It's we don't win, we go home.
Yeah. And the Dolphins can still make a wild card if they lose.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, if the Dolphins lose, I think they're the 5 seed. They're automatically the 5 seed.
But obviously, they would want to host a playoff game, being from Miami. So, yeah, a lot of implications. By the way, I was looking back at our own win total picks that we made at the beginning of the season, and you and me both went under on Buffalo as well on their win total. So, we and
solidarity.
Britt, we're aligned on that one. So,
come on,
let's go Miami.
Let's go Miami.
I think it's interesting that Miami is 3-point underdogs in this game.
I'm taking Miami plus the points, and I'm taking the under.
There we go. By the way, I just saw in our chat here, our private chat, that our producer Ann Bernard had a little dig at me because he said the Eagles season was rolling along just fine until Servo went to the 49ers game.
Oh,
that is true.
That
is true. Maybe I am the curse, unfortunately. All right, so that's Bills Dolphins. Again, Friday show, me and Howard be giving out our best bets, our props, our touchdown calls for all of Saturday and Sunday's games. So stay tuned for that. We're gonna say goodbye to Howard here because he has done his perfect part here talking NFL. I got some college basketball bets to hand out. But Howard, we're gonna let you go. We'll bring in our producer Ann Bernard to kind of help me out with the college side of things here. But thank you, Howard. We'll see you on Friday's show, right?
See you on Friday's show. Let's make some money, baby.
All right. Adam, thanks for jumping on here. I figured I'd bring you on just to kind of talk some college basketball with me for a sec.
Absolutely, yeah. We got a few picks for tonight's Wednesday night slate. It looks like we got some ACC action, some Big East action, and it's still the Pac-12, right? For now. For this year, we got. It's not dead yet. They're walking the Green Mile.
Oh yeah.
Let's start in the ACC. The Trevor Lawrence. Let's see if you get going this week for the Jaguars on Sunday. But tonight, Clemson heading into Miami, take on the U. Looks like we like the Tigers on the money line.
Yeah, give me Clemson here to win this game. It's a small spread. 1.5 is the spread here, but this is the best game of the night, I think, in college basketball. So definitely watch this. I think it's on ESPN. But yeah, Clemson has been one of the surprise, really good teams overall this early, couple months here. If you've just kind of tuned into college basketball, but just really, taking on, some impressive road wins, some impressive wins against top teams overall this year. And I'm buying them, here on the road against the Miami team that is a little unproven to me. So we haven't seen them beat any top tier teams yet. They have losses to Kentucky and Colorado, which has been their two toughest matchups so far against top 25 caliber teams. But I just need to see them beat a top team this year, because I know Clemson can do it, and they've done it already, and they've done it on the road. They have 3 good road games under their belt, and they've won at Alabama and at Pitt too already in ACC play. So they're not going to back down from going on the road here to Miami. The big thing here, a couple big things to note here. Miami, pay attention to their injury report, because the spread could move and the money line could move a little bit. Because Miami has 2 of their top players, Wooga Poplar and Nigel Pack, both questionable for tonight's game, and both could be out, honestly, or one or the other. So I think that's notable, and Miami doesn't have a lot of depth. So if both these guys are out, I think it's huge, just for Miami's lack of depth and lack of scoring just in general, because those 2 guys can light it up from 3. But if both are out, or if both are limited, or just the questionable status of both, it just has me really worried about Miami here. And Clemson, they got a stud center in PJ Hall. I think that's going to be a huge matchup, X factor here, because I could see him getting Miami's good big man, Norchad Omier, into some foul trouble. And again, they don't have depth behind him, especially in the front court. So if Omier gets into any foul trouble, I could see Hall just kind of dominating down low, dominating the paint. And him and Joseph Girard and Chase Hunter, they're a really good backcourt duo, just kind of like forming things around Miami, just I think getting this road win. So I think they're favored here on the road for a reason. So yeah, give me Clemson.
You like the road team here? Let's jump on I-95 and head north from the ACC to the Big East. Got a little Seton Hall Providence action. This one you're going with the home favorite, though.
Yeah, I'm going with Providence here, giving 6.5 points to Seton Hall here. I just think Providence is a tier above Seton Hall this season, and I think it's going to show at home in this spot. Providence has a top 10 defense in the country in college basketball, and I think that stifling defense is going to be an issue for a Seton Hall team that can kind of go through long stretches without scoring. They're just kind of a below-average offensive team, go through some scoreless streaks, especially on the road in this spot. We've seen their offense in particular struggle on the road this year. They've played 2 road games so far, and both of them were blowout losses, double-digit losses, 18 and 20-point losses to Baylor and Xavier. And that loss against Xavier on the road just happened in their last game. They lost by 20. It was against a fast-paced team in Xavier, which is kind of what Providence plays. They play at a quicker pace than what Seton Hall likes to do. So I think that's a big factor here, in that Providence just playing a little too quick, playing with some tempo. Seton Hall having a little trouble matching that because their offense just I think is going to struggle against the Providence's elite level defense that they've shown this year. On the other side, Seton Hall has a really bad 3-point defense, which is going to be an issue against Providence, which has multiple shooters that can exploit that, led by Devin Carter, who's just on fire lately, just scoring at a high clip. So, yeah, give me Providence here to cover at home in this Big East matchup.
All right, so we do Big East, and now we go to the Circling the Drain Pac-12 Conference. Got Cal Berkeley heading down to take on USC. Both LeBron James, if he plays, and his son in action tonight. But what do you got for Bronny tonight?
Yeah, Bronny James is playing for USC. He's coming on. He's still coming off the bench. We'll see what his role kind of expands to, because he had that heart issue. I forget exactly. I think it was just his heart almost stopped, but early in the year. So he's been kind of coming on slow, but he's playing a bench role. Either way, give me Cal in this game on the road as the road dogs. I just think USC has been. I just think they're still a little overvalued. They've been kind of a disappointment this year. This is a team that started out as like a clear top 25 team. People thought they would be the favorites or among the favorites in the Pac-12, but it hasn't gone that way so far. They're 6-7 on the year, and they've lost pretty much almost every game against their power conference competition or top level competition that they've faced. They're just one of those teams that just hasn't really been able to consistently win games, and especially against when they faced even average teams. They're over the past 6 games, by the way, they're 1-5 straight up. And they've lost to good teams like Auburn and Gonzaga, but they've also lost to bad teams like Long Beach State and Oregon State. So Cal comes in here. They're not that great, honestly. They've gone through some struggles this year. They deserve to be underdogs in the spot, but they're also just not like a pushover team. I just don't see USC running away with this. I think they're going to make the Trojans work for it. Cal has played some teams tough this year as underdogs. They've been underdogs a lot this year because, again, they're not a great team. But Cal, they're 5-2 against the spread as underdogs this year, and a lot of their losses just haven't been blowouts. So I don't think that's going to happen here on the road. USC, by the way, as favorites, they're 5-5 against the spread. So they've underwhelmed as favorites. They've gotten it done sometimes as favorites, but I just with this being like a conference in-state rivalry game, give me the underdog here in Cal to just keep it close enough.
Jason Kidd certainly likes your pick, that's for sure.
I hope he does. Yeah.
Yes.
Former Cal great there. So yeah, fading Bronny James here. So yeah, those are 3 picks. Listen, I went 0 for 3 yesterday if you watched. So I got a rebound here. It's the new year, so we start out a little slow, but hopefully we get some winners here tonight.
Yeah, hopefully 0-3 last night, 3-0 tonight for you.
Yeah. All right, Adam, thanks for jumping on here.
No problem.
We'll see you guys tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern here, Bettor Sports Betting. I'm sure we'll have some NBA bets, some hockey. Maybe I'll give out my pick for the college football national title game. A lot to get to on tomorrow's show, so stay tuned for that. Coming up after us, 5 p.m. Eastern, we got NBA DFS Live with John and Pemba and James Grande, so you can stay tuned for that for tonight's NBA slate. And good luck with all your bets tonight. Good luck with NFL this weekend, and we'll see you guys tomorrow here on Bettor Sports Betting.
Bettor Sports Betting on the Bettor Sports Network.